All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. For the record, it is July 30th, 8:15 p.m. My name is Marcia Noel, assistant to the city manager, serving as tonight's moderator for our regular community teleconference. We want to thank everyone who is listening in this evening to our call, or those who will be watching later. Today, we will make sure that this is recorded and shared on social media. So if you are currently watching, we encourage you to share this conference call with any and everyone that you know, because there's going to be some really good information that you're going to receive. With that being said, I do want to let you know that the reason why we're having this call at 8:15 is because there was a scheduling conflict earlier. So we changed the time just to accommodate the circumstances. But this just goes to show that we are committed to making sure that you are keeping connected, and that we're keeping connected with you so that you are regularly informed as to what is going on. We understand that during times of uncertainty, communication is key. With that also being said, we will have two speakers for this evening. You'll be hearing from our city manager, Jonathan Evans, serving as our incident commander in our Emergency Operations Center. And then also you'll be hearing from our Operations Section Chief, Chief Kurd. So without further ado, we'll begin with opening remarks from the city manager, Jonathan Evans.
Thank you, Ms. Noel, and thank you everyone for being on the call this evening. And we do apologize for having to push the call back. Certainly, as we have continued to combat this virus since our activation, which was March 20th, we have seen the virus take a turn for the worse in Florida, and especially in South Florida. As you'll hear from the chief later on the call, the impact that it's had to our community and greater Palm Beach County. Some of the challenges that we're seeing related to COVID-19 is the openings that have happened, as well as individuals not adhering to the recommendations and guidance that's been provided by the CDC. There have been subsequent emergency orders that have been issued by Palm Beach County that has told individuals to go ahead and wear masks when in places that social distancing cannot be observed. And those particular activities have not been adhered to. And I say that to say this: if we don't listen to the emergency orders and the executive orders that are provided by the governor, in the emergency authority that's been provided to local governments as well as the county, there is a possibility of some of the openings to be restricted again. And if we want to restrict our mobility and our ability to go out in our community, we really have to listen to the information that has been provided, as it's intended to protect the community at large. Just to bring folks into the fold as to what's happening, there was a challenge to the county's emergency order that requires the wearing of masks. That was struck down by a judge and said the county does have the emergency authority to implement such a reaction. We have, as a municipality, also issued citations for individuals that are not in compliance, especially in those close confined areas. We have done the warnings, we have communicated and expressed our concern, and unfortunately some individuals have not adhered to the guidance that was provided by law enforcement. So a couple of things that I do want to hit on with regards to COVID-19 is always making sure individuals know to look at the CDC's website for up-to-date information. Continue to watch for the symptoms: fever or chills, cough, shortness of breath or difficulty breathing, fatigue, muscle or body aches, headaches, loss of taste or smell, sore throat, congestion, runny nose, vomiting, and diarrhea. But if you are exhibiting any of those symptoms, or if you're concerned that you may have been exposed, there is testing that is available throughout Palm Beach County. You can find the testing locations that are open by going to Palm Beach County's website. As we'll talk about later on this call about the tropical storm that is looking to impact the state of Florida, the state and county testing facilities have been shuttered for this weekend. Some of the things that I do want to share with individuals also, if they are at home they have tested positive for COVID-19 and they have trouble breathing, persistent pain or pressure in the chest, confusion, inability to wake or stay awake, and a blush of their face or lips, to seek medical attention. Those are emergency warning signs that says that things are taking a turn for the worse. And in the abundance of caution, certainly I think it's appropriate for members of our community and your loved ones to seek appropriate medical attention in the event that they have tested positive or they're exhibiting any of those symptoms. In order to ensure continuity of government, we have also moved to an Alpha Bravo deployment. What I mean by Alpha and Bravo, we have separated the management team as well as the personnel to have individuals working different schedules to ensure that there is no contact points, and gives us the ability to continue to provide services throughout the duration of the pandemic. We have seen over the last 14 days where there's not a day that has gone by over the last 14 days that I do not get briefed where an employee or a family member or a relative of an employee has tested positive. And so this virus is adversely impacting everyone, and we must be conscientious of wearing the appropriate face coverings, sanitizing, washing our hands repeatedly, avoid touching your nose, eyes, ears, and mouth. All those things are to minimize the opportunity for the virus to spread. So when we talk about how we are going to continue to provide service, right now City Hall has been and will continue to be open, appointment only. There is a screening process that has to occur. Public safety deployments will still remain the same, but we are still running our COVID response unit to provide service to our residents in the community. And we are one of the only municipality, if not the only municipality, to keep its COVID response unit deployed during the entire duration. Because when the numbers improved, some of the municipalities went back. We did not. We still kept that, and we have shown that that has been a good decision on part of the city. The governor has executed a couple of emergency orders that pertain to how we conduct our meetings. He has extended virtual meetings until September 1st, so the local government entity will be able to have its council meeting as well as the CRA have their board meetings, and the utility district on a virtual platform based on the information that's been provided through the governor's office. We know that school has been postponed to start in the later part of August, and we're still monitoring the information as it relates to the school schedules, because we will look to make some modifications to our operational plan as school ramps up, and whatever that model looks like, so we can mirror some of those activities as it relates to library services and certain limited recreational activities. But most of those will be digital in nature, as we do not want to create an opportunity where individuals convene to possibly be exposed to the virus. Executive Order 2094, which provides an extension for the mortgage, foreclosure, and eviction relief. The governor did execute an extension which grants relief until September 1st. And then also making sure that, as stated, that local governments have flexibility with regards to their budget hearings, allowing for municipalities to have digital meetings related to the budget process, because usually those meetings are very explicit and it's called out in the statute how one has to comply with that. So there was some additional leniency that was provided through the governor's office by the Emergency Order 2179. As a result of the impacting storm that we can see, expect inclement weather to impact our area as early as late Saturday. We are looking at closing our municipal beach. This is just in the abundance of caution, as we can anticipate to get some really bad weather. I have requested that crews drive every street in the city to make sure that the stormwater infrastructure is clear from debris. And we are also encouraging individuals, do not set out your trash, waste, or anything that could be a projectile this weekend, after winds get up to 40 miles an hour or there's gusts of 40 miles an hour, the landfill closes. So waste management will not be providing any service. So if you anticipated putting out bulk waste and items that could be projectiles, we ask that you keep that in your home or secured so it doesn't become something that is problematic or impede the ability of some of the stormwater infrastructure. Also, if you're seeing individuals parking in front of or obstructing any of the stormwater structures, if you can let the city know so we can go ahead and make contact with those individuals. We need to make sure that the stormwater infrastructure is clear because we will get some heavy rain as it relates to the storm. Preparing for a storm or impact in a COVID environment is quite challenging. We are still monitoring information from the EOC at Palm Beach County. There has not been any information that really has been provided to us as of yet with regards to the activation of shelters or to the institution of shelters or any potential evacuation. So we can anticipate inclement weather, a little bit of wind, rain, just one of those things that we come to expect here in South Florida. So all in all, we're continuing to remain vigilant, remain engaged in what's happening as it relates to COVID, making sure that you have all the items necessary. We will be spinning up our testing here in the next little couple of weeks to be able to get back to reoccurring testing. Our food distributions, we have one on this Friday, and then of course we have it going Tuesday and Friday, and those will remain active until probably the end of August. But you should have also received some masks that were distributed by Palm Beach County. And one of the things I do want the residents of this community to know is that the original mass distribution as it relates to putting it in the mail was something that you can be proud of, that your city was the one that started that and was the first to do that. And it's refreshing to see the county do that as well, to send it out to over 1.5 million residents in Palm Beach County. And we as a city have done it twice. And so we are very excited about the value that the county saw in those activities. With regards to some of our business assistance programs, there is still limited funding that's available for businesses that were impacted associated with COVID-19. Please visit our website, fill out the information on the portal. If we have all the information and it's accurate, we can process a check within a 5-day period. Remember, this is a loan. You do have to sign a promissory note, but in the event that you attend 5 classes that will be provided, basically it waives that fee. So each class is worth about 20%. The total amount that you can receive from the city is approximately $5,000. So that program is up, and there's a couple of spots left. So if you haven't went ahead and registered or provided your information, there still may be some time. Again, I want everyone to still remain safe and vigilant this weekend. We are still doing everything we can to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the public in this environment, and making sure that you're aware of what's happening in your community related to COVID, your place of business, and the state. We have unfortunately surpassed New York, so we really need to continue to take this seriously, because we don't want to see us looking to shut down certain elements of our community. So with that being said, I have everyone please remain safe, and I'm going to turn the presentation over to you, Ms. Noel, to hear from Operational Section Chief John Kirk.
Thank you. Next, we're going to hear from our Operations Section Chief, John Kirk.
Good evening, everyone. Just want to start off with some basic information. This will be quite lengthy this evening. As of up to 5 minutes ago, I've been compiling information on COVID and Tropical Storm Isaias. Don't even like the name of it and the way all of this is happening, but nevertheless, this is the road that we're going down, so I wanted to make sure that the information was up to date. And please be mindful, if you're watching this on social media or if you're watching this on a telecast after this event, this information is accurate as of 8:30 p.m. on July 30th, 2020. There will be an 11 o'clock advisory that will inevitably change some of this information, but a good majority of this stands for basically what we're going to see over the weekend. So I will start with Tropical Storm Isaias and the information that's going to be delivered. I did my best to try to articulate what normally comes with a lot of visual imagery. So if some of this seems to be confusing, please understand that I'm trying to do my best to put into words what is normally a graphic-heavy presentation. This information is coming out of NOAA, the National Weather Service, Palm Beach County's EOC, state EOC. So we've been working very hard to get you the best bits and pieces of each and every one of these agencies. As we all should be aware at this point in time, a tropical storm watch has been issued for South Florida, and that's going to cover from down in Miami up to the Sebastian Inlet for Tropical Storm Isaias. So the watch has been issued at today's 5 o'clock advisory. The storm is currently moving west-northwest, turning to the northwest, just north and west of Hispaniola, and is expected to make a turn to the north. But timing is going to be everything with this storm. In every entity and agency that I've talked to, there is a general consensus of what the storm is going to do. However, when it chooses to do that is the unknown. So we know the storm is going to take that north turn and eventually north to northeast. But when that occurs is going to be very important as this storm reforms off of the coast of Hispaniola. We could see it very close to our coastline. We could see it 50 to 100 miles off of our coastline. It could make an abrupt turn to the north, and we could see it well over 100 to 200 miles off of our coastline. This is going to obviously be very important to determine how much of the storm's impacts we are going to see. But the one good news is that we should not see anything greater than tropical storm force conditions here in South Florida. So the National Weather Service has basically said that there's a 30 to 45% chance that tropical storm force winds are possible late Friday evening into Saturday, growing throughout the day Saturday, and subsiding over the night Saturday into Sunday. What does tropical storm force winds mean? That means that there is and the terms that they use are reasonable. Worst case scenario is that winds will be in the 58 to 73 mile an hour range. That is your tropical storm force winds range. There will be localized flooding. It is possible to see up to 3 and 4 inches on the high end of the estimates through Sunday, but there is anticipated rainfall Monday, Tuesday into Wednesday of next week. But for the storm itself over the weekend, worst case estimations are 3 to 4 inches, with some areas seeing localized flooding. Winds are the greatest concern. The winds are obviously tropical storm force winds that are going to create issues in the area. And some of the things that they want to be mindful of when talking about tropical storm force winds and what are their impacts, you will see minor damage to roofing, siding material, along with damage to porches and awning and carports. So those things are possible with these winds. A few buildings experiencing window, door, garage failures. Now, those would only come with windows, doors, and garages that are in not good working or poor condition. You could see mobile homes damaged, especially those that are unanchored. Unsecured lightweight objects are the biggest concern that can become projectiles. Some roads will be impassable simply due to large debris that may get blown out, old limbs, trees that could get blown over when the ground becomes saturated. And you will see the potential for power and communication outages. What that's going to look like is an unknown. But this is where we have had the conversation going back to the beginning of hurricane season to ensure that everybody was making their preparations. While this storm isn't going to be major, it is going to be enough of a storm for some of the challenges during a pandemic to rear their ugly head. And one of those is power outages. Hopefully the power outages will not last an extended period of time, but that always is a possibility. With power outages, we know that our community will be using generators. We have to plead and implore with our community to understand generator safety. There's a lot of good information on the internet. We also have some information that is going to be put out on Riviera Beach's main website and also Fire Rescue's social media site, talking about generator safety, making sure it's in a well-ventilated area, and some of those other things that come with the use of generators. Keep up with the forecast is one of the best pieces of information I can give you. Again, as of 8:36 right now, this information is current and it is accurate, but we will see a briefing at 11, and inevitably we will see another briefing tomorrow morning. A lot of questions have come in to my email in regards to, do we need to shutter our homes? I've asked this question throughout the community, and meaning the community, the National Weather Service and those NOAA folks and the EOC. We will never tell anyone not to put up their shutters. We can say that shutters are normally used during hurricane forced winds. We are not going to see hurricane forced winds. If your windows and doors are in good working order, they should be fine. But if for any reason you feel uncomfortable or you're doubtful about your home's construction, if you are doubtful about the track of the storm or the information being provided, by all means, please put up your shutters. The one thing that we would ask from Fire Rescue is that if the shutters go up, please bring them down. One of the biggest concerns we have in Fire Rescue is structure fires during and after hurricane season, where homes are shuttered up. Makes rescue and fire control very difficult. So if you are going to put up your shutters, please make sure you put them down. If there is any good news that is coming out of the storm, it appears at this time that we will be on the weak side of the storm. Traditionally, in a storm's movement, the 12 to 3 o'clock, which in this particular storm, it's going to be the north and the eastern side of the storm, are going to be the most dangerous with the most severe winds and rain. We happen to be on the west side of the storm, which is actually the best side to be on. So there's a lot of information there. And again, this information is only as good as of today, but there's a lot of good information to take from there. In regards to the city's operations plan, our preparation has begun as early as yesterday and will continue throughout the day. Tomorrow, we will be pulling crews off the roads on Saturday, and then crews will be redeployed on Sunday for post-storm operations, cleanup operations, making sure that the roads are clear and free of debris. Public safety and essential services, the utility district, the police department, and the fire department will be functioning as normal. We will not be upstaffing for a couple of different reasons. One, the severity of the storm, but two, dealing with a hurricane during this pandemic. We have social distancing requirements. We have very confined quarters at police and fire and utility district. So we really don't have the ability to safely upstaff right now. And fortunately, this storm doesn't warrant the need for upstaffing, but it will be something that we will be looking at as we are going through our first storm during a pandemic. Consider this an opportunity to realize what is needed to prepare for possible future events. I think this is going to be a good warning. I think we're going to see some sustained winds. We're going to see some sustained weather. I don't think we're going to see a devastating storm, but I do believe we're going to see enough of a disturbance for individuals to realize what it is they're going to need in the event that we do see a storm later this season. And based on what I'm seeing in the Atlantic right now, there is a very high probability that we are going to have to deal with a major storm this year. So please understand what's happening at your home and how you can prepare moving forward. The best estimates, the tropical storm will become a possible Category 1 hurricane. The water temperature is favorable for development, but the upper level winds are working against development. They do believe they could see a Category 1 form, especially if the eye of the storm stays off the coast. They could see it reach that point of a Category 1, possibly a low 2, and then they think it's quickly going to get sheared apart and become no more than a tropical storm and a disturbance for the rest of the southeastern United States. So I hope that answered the majority of your questions, alleviated some of your concerns, and helped put into perspective that while we are dealing with this tropical storm, I don't think it's going to be severe. However, it takes one tornado spin-off. They don't anticipate a lot of tornadoes. Wind is their biggest concern, but it just takes something to happen that's unexpected for this to become more than we hope it to be, but we will be staffed and ready. As it relates to COVID, I always go back to the numbers, Florida's at 461,379 total cases, 6,709 total deaths. As I mentioned last week, and it's easy to see, we are probably going to surpass the 500,000 mark by the end of the week into early next week. We're averaging 10,000 cases over the last 10 days. For those of you all who may not have been aware, the CDC's changes from the 14 days, and the 14-day is kind of something everybody's heard. You got to isolate for 14 days. You got to quarantine for 14 days, 14 days without symptoms. The CDC has now looked at it, and it really feels that 10 days is a better marker. So everybody's kind of readjusting their focus in on the numbers, quarantine time, and looking at symptomatic individuals in a 10-day window. So we're seeing 10,000 cases a day on average in the last 10 days. The positivity rate in Florida is 12.87%, well above the 10% average. Palm Beach County's numbers are 32,696, 806 total deaths. We're seeing on average 600 cases a day over the last 10 days. And the positivity rate for Palm Beach County is 12.91%. And our zip code of 33404, which encompasses the majority of our municipal boundaries, we've seen a total of 913 cases. That's up 150 cases in just the last 10 days. So we're at a 20% increase here, thereabouts, in just the last 10 days in our municipality. So this virus is still active. It is still out there. Some of the things that we need to be mindful of, as Mr. Evans mentioned, is social distancing, especially in situations during a storm where people are, and hopefully people being confined to their residence due to the weather will help our situation. But also remember, if you're not feeling well, if you're going to have people come over, that you're social distancing, mask, hand sanitizers, everything that we've been preaching since the onset of this pandemic. County-run testing sites will be closed Friday and Saturday. However, you can go to discoverpbcgov.org for available sites in Palm Beach County. Also, what is very interesting, and I think it is noteworthy, is Palm Beach County's health department has created an app called Combat COVID PBC. COMBAT, COVID PBC. It is available on the App Store, and it's also available in Google Play. And basically, this app utilizes Bluetooth technology, not GPS, to determine whether or not you have been in close proximity with somebody who has tested positive for COVID. It does not require any of your personal information. It just simply uses the Bluetooth on your phone. And while nobody who is positive should be in public, if somebody later became positive, they can use the app and say, I've become positive in the last 48 hours, notify anybody that was around me in the last 72 hours that was in close proximity for a long duration. And you could, if you have this app, receive a message that tells you you were in close proximity to someone who tested positive and you should go get tested. I don't know the ins and outs of this. I do know that they are making sure that your privacy is of the utmost importance. No names, no phone numbers, no email addresses, no home addresses. It is simply an app that uses your Bluetooth. It sees other phones, Bluetooth around you, and it records those phones. It doesn't know whose phone it is. It just knows that there is that phone. There's always some concerns about privacy. But again, this is an attempt to show our community how committed Palm Beach County is to its municipalities and protecting us from the spread of COVID. And this is simply being used to help with contact tracing. The contact tracers are overwhelmed and inundated, and due to community spread, they can no longer effectively contact trace COVID-19. So this is a tool to help. Hurricane prep can create issues as it relates to COVID-19. Everybody's probably going to want to rush out on Friday. There are things that I need while I have the majority of my supplies. Friday's traditionally payday. Everybody's going to be at the gas stations. Everybody's going to be at the grocery stores. Everybody's going to be at the hardware store. If you have to go to any one of these establishments, please make sure you're attempting to social distance the best that you can and that you have your facial coverings with you, because they are very concerned with these congregations and gatherings at some of these essential businesses that are needed for hurricane preparation. And I am happy to announce that Jeanette Works, the company that the Nurse Practitioners Group is using through the state to provide testing to Riviera Beach, has heard our complaints, has made some adjustments, and they are providing results back in a very timely fashion. The tests that were done last week, everyone that was tested has received their results, and that was done as of Wednesday. So I am happy to announce that moving forward, when we do have additional testing being conducted, you can rest assured that within that 72 to 96 hour window, you will have your results. And I apologize for taking so much of your time. You all have a good evening. Stay safe. And again, if there's anything you need, please feel free to reach out. And I turn it back over to you, Ms. Noel.
Thank you, Chief Curd. With that being said, we will now open it up to any questions from members of the community that has joined our conference call. If you've joined the call, you can dial *9 so that I can unmute your line to ask your question on anything that we'll discuss this evening. Also, I am watching our chat box on YouTube as our call is live on that platform. So if you are watching on YouTube, you can ask your question through the chat box. I will give it a few seconds to allow you to ask any questions. All right, seeing that there are no questions this evening, we want to thank everyone for joining us. Again, we want to encourage you to share this video with everyone that you know. As you can see, there's a lot of valuable information, not just on COVID-19, but Tropical Storm Isaias that's expected to impact our South Florida community in some way, shape, or form. And I'd like to end on this note, as I usually do, but I also want to encourage our members of the community to please complete your 2020 census This is a critical time for us in regard to that opportunity. We want to simply bring our taxpayer dollars back to our community to serve us, especially in times like this. So please go to 2020census.gov to complete your census online. Thank you and have a safe night.